Welcome back to the Backstop Built channel, everybody. Today I have a parent of one of the players I just finished working with. This is going to be Bob today, and he is the parent of Sean Green, who I just finished working with, who has an awesome story of how he is now committed to play college baseball after a lot of hard work, a lot of stress and fear of not even knowing if he was going to be able to get to that level. And he officially is. So today we're going to be talking about Sean's journey from his parents' point of view and everything he observed. So today I'm really excited to hear from Bob directly. Without further ado, let's hear from him.
Hey, Brock. So my name is Bob Green. My son is Sean, the high school senior we talked about. Um, I've been pretty invested in working with him for basically I guess he's been playing baseball about 12 years, but 10 of them catching. And when I mean invested is usually practicing with him, finding coaches, doing drills with him, whatever he wanted to do, especially. So we've worked pretty hard together, which was a pretty nice bonding thing. And I played ball, but I was a second baseman, so I knew absolutely zero about catching when he first started. And it's been a journey for me to learn along the way, and then to be able to watch baseball at all levels and really understand the intricacies and nuances of catching. And that's my first point that I would probably make about someone considering this program is you don't know what you don't know. That especially probably on the parent side or parents of kids that are even good ball players, but entering high school probably have no clue how complex catching is, and they may have had some lessons in coaching, and then they may think they know a lot, and you know about 10% of it. There's a lot, and it's a lot to learn and a lot to practice. It's it's basically the quarterback of football. It's not an easy position, and you can definitely tell a difference when you're watching a lot of baseball and you understand it. The difference between an excellent catcher and a very average to below average catcher, where a lot of people might think, "Oh, that one's just fine," "Oh, he dropped one ball," but you get into receiving and framing and footwork, and there's a big difference. And little things cause runners to advance bases, and runners advance bases, they score more easily. And even coaches who didn't catch a lot of times don't see these things. So I as well was skeptical about an online program, and he'd had a lot of training from some good catching, really high level catching coaches who've coached pros and did have good lessons. But of course, it's limited. You got a 30 or 60-minute lesson, and then you don't have anything for a week or two. Um, so it's hard to keep making progress because he started taking lessons, catching lessons when he was 10. And I remember a parent telling me if he wants to play high school baseball, he's going to have to be a good blocker. So he immediately started taking blocking lessons. And from the age of 10 on, he was always considered the best blocker. I mean, he was, because he worked on it more than anybody. And even in the first 3 years of high school, he was considered a very good blocker. No one would ever say another catcher was better. But after doing the several months of blocking, it just went up to another level. It's like saying someone's a great, perfect, awesome high school catcher and then trying to compare him to a major leaguer. There's another leap of level, and he really took that leap. And it's um, especially the big thing is two things. One is really killing a ball. I don't know what you'd really call it: killing a ball, catching it, having it die right in front of you. That's a big thing because even though if the ball squirts out, the runner might not advance a base, but you need that ball in front of you. I've seen him throw out a runner at second after blocking a ball, and that's not a common thing to do. And you're only going to do that if you make a perfect block. And then the other thing is blocking from, I don't know how many different positions, left knee down, right knee down, squat, left leg standing out. I mean, he can block from almost sitting backwards from any position conceivable and make great blocks. And that's a huge skill. That way, he feels confident that it doesn't, he's in a position either by comfort or by where he thinks he needs to be to frame, and knowing that he can block no matter where he needs to go. Especially if a pitch goes completely opposite direction he's expecting. In fact, one little funny story I'll tell is I'm not always the most consistent thrower. So there's a lot of times if he's doing a drill and he's like, okay, throw it to my right, glove side, a foot to the right, and I'll do 5 straight that are like 3 feet out, or because I'm just not a great thrower all the time. And he would kind of sit and get frustrated, and say, "Dad, it's not realistic." He'd go block it. He'd say, "It's not realistic. The ball's going to go that far out that I'm going to actually block." And then there was a game a few weeks later, and he actually blocked the ball. It was like a wild pitch. It was like 3 feet out.
Of
So I
course.
thought that was pretty funny. And it's true. It's really not a required skill in one respect. It's so bad at pitch. But um, it was. I kind of looked at it as an advantage that I wasn't always throwing where he was telling me to throw, because the brain will expect it and say, "Okay, I'm doing this drill. I want it right here," and that is a skill. But if you do it ahead of time because you're expecting it there, you're not really learning. You're not learning the reactions. So I actually think it was an advantage to have cruddy throwing, so he could end up going the opposite direction and making blocks, even though if it wasn't the actual drill at the time. So, like I said, I've seen, um, when it comes to, let's say, the blocking part, I just see that it is rarely a comparison to another catcher he's playing against at his level, um, and sometimes even at the next level. That he's way ahead on that side. And then just everything else, like the footwork, transfer, has all gotten better. And I think a lot of that comes from confidence, but also, just gotten better through a lot of repetition. And there are times when it was because we started in Arizona in the summer, especially early on, he'd be out there in 110, 112 degrees, and it's not even pleasant for the partner either. I mean, it's worse for him, but he's out there doing every single drill, and working hard. And I think that's another key is I see a lot of catchers, I mean, even younger teammates of his, who could definitely benefit from the program, uh, just probably don't understand how much work he put in, to get to where he is. So you can't sugarcoat it and say, "Oh, just do this program. You kind of, do some stuff here and there and you'll be better." No, it's a lot of work. So you have to be really heavily motivated. I think personally, that it's just as good a program for, like an incoming freshman, uh, because you want to get those skills even earlier on. And especially if you're going to a competitive school and there's other good catchers and you're all similar, maybe there's one better. If you want to play, then it may take, obviously, a 6 month program. It may take a year. But then you come back the next year and hopefully astonish coaches with how much better you've gotten.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's all awesome to hear. Just kind of what you saw from your point of view. And I mean, big thing I want to talk about is like how proud are you of your son now that he's committed to play college baseball through that hard work?
Well, definitely. I think that obviously very proud. A lot of it is because of the work he's put in, not because it just happened. Um, I remember talking to a friend, uh, when he was in middle school, and I didn't know if he was even good enough to play high school ball. I mean, I just had only been watching 12U, 13U, hadn't really seen high school ball, especially catchers. But he did it. He was, he's good. He was a good hitter and all that, and he did say early on, probably before he started high school, his goal was to play college ball. And I thought, that's, could be a stretch. It's a whole other level, but he proved pretty early that he could, he was a competitor. And I was definitely by junior year, believing it would be a reality. Um, and this was it's definitely a huge part of it. Um, Baseball recruiting, we learned a lot about how difficult it is. You got to do a lot of your own work, and especially there is when you're, it's one thing when you live in a city or a state and you're doing tournaments and coaches from that state can see you. Arizona's a little different. We have fantastic baseball, pro, and high school, a ton of it. Not a lot of colleges here, actually, which is interesting. So, but it's hard to get, out of state people don't come to just watch players here. So you're relying on videos and phone calls and things. And there is just a huge bias to having a, 6'2", 6'4" catcher. And it's just like, football thinking a quarterback has to be 6'5" and have 9.5-inch hands. It's just a thought. It's a bias and a thought that's not necessarily true. We know there's excellent major league catchers that are 5'8", 5'9", and it has height has absolutely nothing to do with it. First base, obviously, you need height, but not to catch. But there's that bias, and what really showed is if you're not the like what they would call the physical prototype, it's hard to get in front of them. But the first time he got in front of them, he wowed them because then they're not looking at the you know the height anymore. They're looking at the skills, and they were blown away by the skills. So I think that was, just a big lesson learned for future kids too. Is obviously you got to get in front of coaches, and he had the videos to back him up as well.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, still amazing, right? He got the result that everyone wants, and that's awesome. Yeah, that should be praised. That's great. Let's talk about some skepticism you had as a parent before getting into the program, or maybe even after our first Zoom call, just going over what it looked like before you were actually in the program. Like, how did you feel about all this?
Well, it's just like it's not anything to do with the actual skill. It's just a fact of like remote. Like for instance, I golf. I can't see having this work in golf. Let's say it would be 100 times more difficult, I think, uh, to do it this way rather than going and seeing a golf pro once a week and then hitting balls. That kind of the typical way to do it. This kind of works because of it's repetition and it's daily, and it's in one respect there's less movements than like a golf swing. It's just forget it. Even hitting would be very complicated. But in this case, when you're talking about the skills that we're working on for catching, it's a lot more doable, I think, and appropriate. And so I think I knew going in every day was an advantage. There's something, it's hard to say. You know, what would be the perfect world? Your program every day, if you showed up at the house in the backyard for 30 minutes and did the drills with them. Completely impractical, of course. That would be the ultimate. So then it's like, okay, so where's the next best place to be? And then this works out probably a lot better than, the half-hour lesson every 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something. You get a lot more done, a lot more repetition. Because like Sean said, you go to a lesson and they'll always say, go practice this at home. Yeah, do you really practice at home? And then you don't have a video to look at to remember to do it properly, or to video yourself and then upload it and have a comment. And I would do that a lot. Rashawn would do it a lot. I would see him look at videos. I'd take a video of him, then he'd look at it again. Then we'd go back to work.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about the investment, time, finances, all that energy. When you look at what you invested and then the result you got after the 6 months, like what kind of comes to mind? Do you feel like it was more value than you thought, less, just enough?
Well, there's two investments. One is the financial investment, and I feel like it came out pretty fair. I hadn't calculated. I could do it real quick if you were to do, let's say one lesson every 2 weeks, 12 lessons for what they cost. I mean, maybe some extra, it's probably similar to the amount of private lessons, except that this is a lot more interaction and a lot more work. The biggest investment is, like I said, as a dad, was time, but that was kind of a great joy because it's, as he's getting older and older, it's harder to, like when he was younger, you're driving him to practice all the time, you talk a little baseball, you have some fun. There's less practices, so he's out there, let's go throw, let's go hit, let's do stuff. And the older they get, all of a sudden they drive, they have friends, and they don't need dad anymore. So this actually, to me, was a great way to keep really involved with him right up through the end, and feeling like like he couldn't do it without me, or maybe he could, but he did it with appreciating how much I did, that kind of thing. So I think it's from a parent-son thing, it was great.
That's awesome. I think that's cool to see that bond and everything. What advice would you have to another parent right now who's curious about getting her son in the program?
Um, I think it really comes down to, almost the advice would be just do it, because, like I said, most times you don't know what you don't know. And when you could look at, let's say you got a freshman catcher, and sure, they could look at the varsity senior and say, well, of course he's older, I'm sure my son will be there, at that eventually. And it's like, nope, that's not necessarily true. We've seen players stagnate when they don't put in the work or don't have the proper coaching, and they look the same as the seniors they do as a freshman. And again, I mean, I'm an advocate for some kind of private additional coaching, extra work for every position in baseball. Um, but catching and pitching, obviously, but catching probably number one. More so. It's just there's when I played, I could play second base and shortstop a lot on just athletic ability and intuition. And you can only get so far catching doing that because there's just stuff that if somebody doesn't teach you why you're doing certain things in framing or how to do a proper transition for a throwdown, you're not going to figure it out on your own. It's just, it would take years. It did take people years to do it. And that's why catching training is so much different today than it was 10 years ago and 20 years ago. So, I mean, the advice would be just you got to do it because if your child baseball player is very serious about catching, if they don't do it, they're going to be behind and they're not going to progress.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. Is there anything else you'd like to say that comes to mind on the relationship I was able to build with Sean, or just the impact hopefully Backstop Built was able to have on his career and the results he's gotten?
Um, well, in one respect, it's hard to say because he just finished the program, and so he has played some games, but the real test comes starting Monday when the high school season kicks off, and within 3 weeks, he'll have played about 12 games. So we'll certainly see a heck of a lot more there. But we have gotten an inkling, excuse me, like I said, of the blocking, the throwing, the throwdowns, the pop time. So we've definitely seen. We're real excited to see what it's going to look like with good competition and really getting going in the season. And again, he actually all those skills where he was showing off in the tryout workout for the school, the college. So that was obviously a not only a big help, it was pretty much it. And then it was also nice that he had killed it in the cages too. So
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Again, I would just I'm very blessed to have worked with him. So thank you guys for making it happen and putting in the time and effort because as you know, it's me just guiding him. It's him every day showing up and like doing the hard work and you as well. So kudos to you guys. And now you got the result.
yeah,
He's a
and I'll
committed
say
player.
I'll just add that it really is still a self motivating thing. I never told Sean, oh, you have to do Brock's drills or do this. And there were definitely a few days where you know, maybe I didn't sleep well, worked all day. It's late in the afternoon, early evening, and I'm plopped down on the couch, and Sean comes up. I got to do some drills, and I was like, oh, but I got up. I wasn't going to disappoint him. So it really has to be a self motivating thing. So I think that's the key is he was the one who found the program and looked into it and said, I want to do it. So it's just like anything in life. Um, you're not going to make your player catcher do it. They have to really want it and come to the parents and say, I think I need this. But they have to be self-aware of the differences between where they are today and where they want to be and looking at other catchers who are able to do those things they want to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, I appreciate it all. And again, that's awesome that you guys were able to do this together. And I just can't wait to see the updates from game to game. I can't wait to hear about them and everything. Bob, is there anything else you want to say for anyone else watching, any other parent, anything else about the experience?
Uh, and I think I've said it all. It's just, if you want to be hit the next level of catching, everybody needs a program like this, no matter how good you think you are. And it's probably worse to be uh, so talented that everything comes easy for you because you probably have bad habits. And when you probably would get to college, you'd have a college coach or a pro coach look and say, man, we got to break this down and start all over. Even if you have all this natural talent, you have to do it properly. And I think that's a big lesson there. Even if you're super talented and very successful, if you don't know these things, you've been getting away, sliding by without having to have the proper skills.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. Yeah. And now Sean's always going to have that work ethic, those skills that's going to last him way past high school and then going into his career. So you raised a great one. I'm proud of Sean where he's at. It sounds like I'm proud of you too, because you were doing the drills as well.
Thank you.
So that's awesome. I appreciate you guys' time. I appreciate you guys jumping into the program and going through it. and spending your time here talking to anyone. So it's just so crazy that it all started with that first Zoom call where we were able to go over everything. For anyone watching this, if you want to hop on the same Zoom call, the link is in the description below. You can go ahead and book a time that works for you and your son, or if you're a player, for you and your parent. This is completely free. We'll go over where you are now and what's holding you back, and then how we can help, and then get to your goals of what you're striving for, just like Sean was able to do. So go ahead and book that call below in the description. Also, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any valuable catching content that I put out there. Also, like this video and scroll through, go look at some other players I've helped, and you might relate to their story as well, just like Sean's here. So again, guys, thank you, Green family. I really do appreciate you guys, and it was such an honor to work with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.